Hi there, thank you for joining me today to chat about this latest episode of 90 Day Fiancé. We're on season 10, episode 5. If you're a fan of the show, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and also let me know your thoughts on the episode in the comments. You can also hit the thumbs up button, whatever works for you. So I'll just begin with the newer couples and then go couple by couple. In this episode, we're introduced to Clayton. Clayton is a cybersecurity analyst from Kentucky, and we see where he's got a bunch of pets. He's got 2 guinea pigs that he talks to and treats like little dogs or something. I don't know. He also has 2 chihuahuas, Coco and Buster, so now we have 2 pets with the name of Coco on the show. And then we also meet his mom, who lives in a closet off the living room. And I don't even know what to say about this. So they live in a 1-bedroom apartment. And so this arrangement was set up so his mom could save some money to get her own apartment. But she says that she has lived in the apartment for 3 years. I was like, oh my goodness. So his mom looks as though she could be very well in her 60s at this point. So, wow, I'm just speechless. But I guess it's good that, he's looking out for her. But if it's been 3 years, surely with her not having any expenses, that she would be able to save up to be able to have her apartment. But I guess maybe she doesn't work either, so then there's nothing to save up or no way to continue to pay for a new apartment if she got one. But she said that it was supposed to be temporary, but it doesn't seem that she's in a hurry to move out the closet. She's saying that it suits her just fine, so I guess why move? Anyway, Clayton has a fiancé who is Anali, and they met on a language app when she was learning to speak Spanish. No, she was learning to speak English, and he was learning to speak Spanish. So the story he tells was that she visited his profile, but didn't leave him a message. So he reached back out to her, to say, hey, you visited my profile, but you didn't say anything. So he says after 8 months, he flew to Peru to meet her in person. And then within 4 days of being there with her, he proposed because he never, I guess, felt this way about anybody before. So when he asked for her to marry him, she was like, "Aw." And then when he asked if it was a yes, she then said, "Yeah." And I was like, okay, that wasn't really an enthusiastic response to me, but okay. He just cared about the fact that she said yes. So he's happy, I guess. I'm happy, I guess. So we see where him and his mom back at his apartment, they're trying to tidy up because Annalie will be arriving soon. The apartment is full of stuff. Apparently his mom has a bit of a hoarding problem. So there's stuff like everywhere. We see where, she collects all kinds of things. He says that sometimes she just buys stuff because they're pretty and she doesn't end up using them, or there's stuff unopened. There's just little things that she has no use for. We see where he, had some box of cereal that he asked her like how old it is. It's like, oh, I've only had it like 4 months or something like that, she said. And then when he opened it, it was long since expired. I think it was expired like 2 years ago or something. I don't remember. But this is, the kind of stuff that she hangs on to. So he says he feels bad for his mom, but at the same time, he needs the space, and him and his fiance are going to have to, they're going to need the space. So they're going to move some of the stuff that she has in the apartment back into the storage. So when we see the storage unit that they have, it is pretty much completely filled with her stuff. So he's got little spots where he's trying to put stuff, but basically, if he's going to clear out the apartment, they're going to need a whole nother storage unit because that one is pretty much full. So while he's at the storage unit, Annalie calls and they chit chat for a little bit. And then she asks, if there will be space for her. And he says, yes, he's trying to organize the house. So in his confessional, he said that he's worried that she will feel that she made a mistake to come live with him because the place is not organized. Later, we see where Clayton takes the guinea pigs to the vet to get their weight checked. He says that he gets them a checkup every 6 months, and apparently, they're overweight right now. He blames his mom because she continually overfeeds them, and so the little guinea pigs need to lose some weight. So he had a little chit chat with the tech and the vet tech there. And he said, do you know that they eat guinea pigs in South America? And she said, yeah. And so he was saying that, for them it's a delicacy, and his fiancé says they're delicious, and he joked about her not wanting her to eat his pet, basically. He wants her to see his guinea pigs as a member of the family and not for a meal. Anyway, he says that he is pretty much used to the mess in his apartment. He says it's pretty much second nature to him at this point. He says it's mentally exhausting to have so much stuff hanging around, but he spends most of his time in his room because he works from home, and then the rest of the time he spends online gaming. So he goes on to tell us that he has been addicted to this game that he's been playing since he was a teenager, and so far on the game he has logged over 20,000 hours. So he's a true gamer. He spends a lot of time gaming. So we see where he's chatting with his friend Cameron, who he says has been his best friend for 13 years. And get this, they met online and they have never met in person. And he was like, yeah, I don't know why we haven't. Basically, he went on to say, well, maybe it's because of his social habits. He's always like at home. He doesn't really go out that much. But anyway, that's his best friend, an online person. But we see where he is on camera and they were chatting. And he says he had something that he wanted to talk to him about. And so he goes on to tell Cameron that Anali's dad doesn't know he exists. And I was like, oh my goodness. So this is another couple where they're like, a little secret from their family. He asked if she, Cameron asked him if, does she talk to her dad? Do they have a relationship? And he says, yeah, they're very close. They talk every day. They actually probably talk more than 20 times a day. And so he feels like he's been hidden, and he doesn't want this to work on his insecurities. But he also says that she has been lying about her whereabouts when she's not home. So for example, when they met up in, was it Lima that they met up? Whenever he flew to Peru to meet up with her, the family didn't know that she was meeting him. They thought she was, away for work. And then when she's coming to the U.S., now that she's supposed to come, she's supposedly coming here for work, which is not actually the case. So, it looks like Clayton is having a similar problem that Ashley is having, where he's kind of hidden. The family knows nothing about him. Cameron asks Clayton if there's incentive, for her to hide him. And she has told him that her dad is very protective and very intense. And that's the reason why, I guess he's hidden away. But even so, what about the rest of the family? Couldn't she have introduced him to, maybe at least a friend or, someone? It doesn't seem like he's met anybody in her life. So Cameron says that this is something that he needs to resolve ASAP. If, she's going to be his life partner, then, he definitely needs to address this. He says he's pretty certain that if he does go hard about this, that her dad would probably prevent her from leaving. And so this is not, a can of worms that he wants to open. He doesn't want to risk that, because in him being if her dad is aware of him, then, he would stop her from coming. So Cameron, thinks it's definitely an essential conversation that they have, even if he's resistant to do it now, at least before they get married. And so we see where he's saying, he's trying to not overreact. Maybe he's overreacting. But no, you're not overreacting. There's definitely no way that you should be getting engaged. And you're moving this person from one country, one continent to the next, and you don't know their family. I mean, that's scary for you to leave your home country to go somewhere else and your family doesn't know where you are. That in itself would be cause for me to tell someone where I'm going. But this is what Clayton is currently tussling with. We didn't really see a whole lot of Nick and Devin in this episode, but we see where Nick is giving her a little tour of Seoul. It's a lot different from her hometown because she comes from a small town and this is a huge metropolis. Lots of activities, lots of high-rises, lots of people. She is a little nervous about how he'll adjust, with him having to live in a really boring small town. Then they talk about, the plans for the next day. They're supposed to be going to Daejeon to meet his parents. She's a little bit nervous because she doesn't speak much Korean and they don't speak English. So we see where he's telling her about the different little mannerisms and cultural courtesies that she would need to observe, like how to hold her cup and not to do this when she's doing that. And so she's worried that maybe she won't remember it all. Nick says, his mom wasn't really happy with it. She asked, if his mom would prefer that she married a Korean. And he pretty much says, yeah, she was not pleased that, he was planning to marry an American woman. So later on in the episode, we see where they're waking up and it's D-Day. And this is supposed to be the day that they're going to meet the parents. So they'll be leaving Seoul to go to Daejeon to meet his parents, his sister, and his niece. And so he was helping her to find the right outfit to wear. And I thought that was really cute. He was like, okay, why don't we do this, do that? He knows his parents, so she want to have a conservative look and something that, the parents would like. He says that his parents doesn't really know much about Devin. And when they think of American women, they think that they all have one-night stands and do drugs and party. And I was like, yikes. Ooh. But anyway, he knows that Devin is not like that. But, I guess it's a kind of a stereotype a bit. So they take the train to Daejeon. It's 1 hour. And he says that his father is not super friendly and that his mom is a serious career woman. And so I think he's a little bit nervous because, of course, if he doesn't get their approval, he can't come to the States. He thinks Devin might get a little bit overwhelmed because his mom is very serious. And when she, gets overwhelmed, she kind of breaks down in tears. And so he's a little bit concerned about that. And so their segment ended where we see where they arrived in Daejeon and then the parents are waiting. We kind of don't see, we see a shot of them from the back waiting. They're under an umbrella. So next week we'll see, what the conversation with the parents look like. At Gino's and Jasmine, we see where the producers are showing us, I guess, setting up the scene because they're showing us how the dirty toilet, the dirty stove, we see little Coco walking around. I guess she's peeing everywhere. I don't know. Upstairs, we see Jasmine. She's scratching all over the place, her arms, her legs. She's just itchy. And she can't stop scratching, and she's got rashes all over the place. So we see where Gino's downstairs. She's upstairs, and she calls him. And Gino says, you did get something like this in Panama. And she's like, no, that's not it. And he asked what she ate. And she's like, it's not anything that I ate. She has a limited diet and, she's not allergic to anything that she ate. He thinks that maybe it's the almonds that she ate. And she's like, that's not it. So she's saying it's because the place is so dirty, and maybe it's because, of the soap that he uses to wash the blankets and stuff like that. And so he's like, let me go see these almonds, because he is hell-bent on thinking that she's allergic to the almonds. So he goes to go get the almonds. Gino doesn't think that he lives like a slob. He doesn't think the place is dirty. So Jasmine says that she has dermatitis, and that is not what she ate. Gino says that she ate a whole bag of almonds, which is not, it wasn't really, almost a whole bag, and that she might be allergic. And he comes back upstairs holding up the bag like he's, he's like working on a case. He's in court. Jury, ladies and gentlemen, please see Exhibit A. He's got it held up. And I was like, oh my goodness. Dude, she says that's not it. Can we please put the bag of almonds away? But I think she would know better than him if she had a nut allergy. And so he's insisting that that's what it is. So then she brings up how dirty the apartment is. And he says, well, you were living in a dirty apartment with mice in it. Here they go again. Even if that was the case, why is he bringing this up right now? It's like, he's hurling insults, which is not nice. And of course, she gets ticked off and she got heated. She, of course, denied that she was living in any kind of dirty apartment, and they're arguing back and forth. So finally, Jasmine tries to calm things down. She's like, listen, allergy aside, everything else aside, can we please get some new pillows and blankets? Gino says he doesn't want any. He's like, can we please get new pillows? I mean, it can't be that much. He said he'll buy her a new pillow, but there's nothing wrong with his pillow. So it's like, even if you get a new pillow, if she's the only person who got a new pillow and you keep your dirty, germy one, she's going to still break out because she's on the same bed. And so it doesn't seem like he's like understanding or considerate of, her skin condition. And he's just being cheap, in my opinion. But Jasmine has said that, he was really cheap, which I'm seeing now. Like, a pillow doesn't cost that much. So on a side note, Jasmine is complaining about how dirty the place is, but why is it dirty? They're both at home. Nobody's working. I feel like the place should be spick and span at this point. Why are there dirty toilet photos a video being shown to us as the audience? Both of them need to clean the house. Anyway, Jasmine was finally able to drag Gino out the house to get new bedding. And it turns out that Jasmine had to be taken to urgent care because she had a severe case of hives. She had to get some injections. And so she was feeling better at that point when they were about to go to the store. So we see where Jasmine is at the store, where they're supposed to get new pillows, and I don't know if Gino agreed to blankets, but pillows for sure. And so Jasmine asked the rep how often that she recommends changing the pillows. The rep said, for me, is every 6 months. And Gino says, well, it's more like every 6 years for me, ha ha ha. Well, that's not funny, Gino. That shows how nasty you are. Why are you laughing at this? Ugh, I can only imagine how dirty that pillow is and full of allergens. So they went looking for comforters, and they found a really cute kids comforter set that she feels like Fiancé would like. Fiancé's birthday is coming up. And so she thinks that he would like the soccer-themed comforter because he loves soccer, and she says he's really good at it, and he's taking lessons and all that. So she gets emotional because, she won't be able to be there for his birthday. He's turning 11 here shortly. And she doesn't know how long the visa thing will take and how long she's going to be away from them. And she doesn't want them to feel like she's abandoning them. And so, Gino gave her a hug and told her how great of a mom she is. And I was like, oh, that's really nice. I thought that he was just going to stand there and look like a statue, but he didn't. So that was the right thing to do. So he tells her that things will get better soon. And so, that kind of cheered her up a little bit. Then they call Fiancé to show him the toys and the stuff that they're going to get for his birthday. And she asked him if he likes the comforter set and what he wants for his birthday. And so she tells him that she and Gino will be there for his birthday, but only by phone. But they'll certainly be there to sing him happy birthday, which was really cute. But she says, she's really scared of there being issues with the visa for the children. And so that makes her a bit sad. So this episode is a continuation of Nikki and Igor at the park. Igor says she has a big heart, but sometimes she's not as patient. And he says that she's a sex machine and his body is still opening up to her and it's not easy. And I'm like, what does this even mean? Why is it difficult? Is he trying to say that he is mentally trying to get into the mood with her? But then why get back together if it's so difficult to get in the mood? Because he found out, if I'm recalling correctly, he found out before going on the vacation to Mexico with her and proposing that she was trans. So what is so difficult now? And why did you propose anyway if it's so hard for you? So Igor says that she's too focused on sex and to enjoy the time. And she says she's never been deprived of sex before in her life and she needs more. Igor says that he doesn't like it when she starts talking about money, to make him feel bad. And he tells her, "Oh, you send me so little money. It's only for gas. It doesn't go a long way." And, he says that she's been helping him with little things. And of course she disagrees. She says his nose job alone was $7,000. And I was like, ooh, I wonder how he looked before the new nose. Anyway, she goes on to mention all this stuff that she has sent him, plenty of Western Unions, a lot of money to do this, to do that. But why is he downplaying like she hasn't done a whole lot? I don't know if he's trying to save face in front of the camera, but this is a huge difference from, doing just a little bit for him versus sending thousands of dollars and paying for surgeries. But anyway, this really ticked her off because he's trying to minimize the amount of money that she has sent him. And so, of course, she is seeing red. So he offered to pay her back when he gets here or something like that. He offered to pay her back. And she says it's not an issue because, she sent it to him because she cares about him and she loves him, but not to minimalize what she's done. And that really makes her upset. Anyway, in the confessional, we see where they're continuing to argue about this whole thing, the money thing. And Nikki says that he never puts her first ever. And she always helps him and she's always there for him. And he's like, yeah. And so now she gets really angry. She's like, who the F do you think you are? Oh my gosh, this is not good. And so he got up and walked away and she's like, bye, little child. These adults doing these little juvenile things. But yeah, this didn't help the situation much. So, it's never good to be financing somebody that you're not married to or living with because then you really don't know. And even then, not that it's safe in a marriage or anything, but, when you're getting to know somebody and you're doing this stuff, you really don't know what the motivation is there, why they're with you. Is it because you or because of what you're giving them? So it seems like, she's not really sure of whether the money is a motivation here or not. And given the issues that she's bringing up, I would gamble to say it's a huge part of why Igor is with her. Nikki was impersonating Igor in the confessional about him making demands. Babe, I need money. Babe, I need this. It's kind of funny. It did sound kind of funny, and it did sound like him. But anyway, it's the little childish things that she does, which I could see how that may annoy him, and things can blow out of proportion when you're mimicking somebody, and that's just not necessary. But anyway, they continue to talk. We see where they flash back after this confessional that they continue to talk at the park. They were still at the park. And so he asked her to stop fighting. It's only the second day and to save her power for their love. And so they make up, hug, or whatever. She acknowledges in her confessional that she always blows up really easily and that, she says hormones play a role in that because she had taken a shot before she came there. And I guess that impacts her mood. And she says that he acts like a child whenever it comes to intimacy. And I don't know. I just don't get why there's an issue now. Because when they got back together, they seemed like they were doing just fine, or at least that's what she was portraying anyway. When they went on their vacation together, went to Mexico, and this time in between, why is there an issue now? He knew this the whole time. So I understand her concerns, but, trying to force the issue and getting angry and all that doesn't really solve the problem. So we see where Nikki calls her mom, and her mom asks if everything is okay. And so she went on to talk about the issues that she's having with Igor. She tells her about the lack of intimacy, and her mom says, asked her if she had a civil conversation or did she yell and scream. She admits that she had gone from 0 to 100, and she once again blames the hormones. And it might as well could be, but she herself admits that this is her typical behavior, that she loses her cool pretty easily. So I don't know if I'm buying this excuse. And as a matter of fact, if a man was doing this to a woman, the way she's pushy towards Igor about sex, it would be a really huge issue. So she just needs to calm this down. Her mom suggests that she changes the way that she behaves towards him, try a different approach versus yelling and screaming. And her mom had mentioned that she even does that to her too, like, yelling and screaming when she gets upset. So her mom tells her to let him adjust. It's a huge deal for her, in having to deal with family and friends and all that. But, I don't know that I agree that the approach, needs work. But the issue is larger than the approach. If the man is not interested, then he's not interested. So I don't know that, she can fix that. So Igor takes her out to dinner later on, and, she says she'll try to be more patient and that he needs to be more serious when she's upset, and he agrees to work on it. He says now he understands her better. And so while they're there and they're having conversation, Igor mentions that he's going to the gym tomorrow while she's sleeping. She's like, no, I'll go with you. We can work out together. And he basically says, no, you're not coming to my gym with me. He says that you can go to another gym that's better from people from another country. So his reasoning is that the gym that he goes to, the ceiling is really low, and that the other gym has high ceilings. And I was like, what? They are pretty much the same height. If you can go to that gym and work out, so can Nikki. Like, what is the problem with this with the height of the ceiling? So of course Nikki's not having it. Nikki says that he doesn't want her to go because he knows people there and he doesn't want to be seen with her. And she tells him that he cannot change what other people think and that he needs to be proud of who he is dating and who he's in love with. And so he suggests that they toast to that. But I feel like that was a deflection to not talk about the conversation any further because he's clearly uncomfortable. He looks so awkward. And he never did change his mind about her not coming to the gym with him. So I don't know if anything was resolved here about the gym. Then we see where Nikki says that, oh, I think they just clocked me or something like that. And she said that it may have been that, they overheard what she just said, because prior to that, she had said that, you don't care about that I was born as a man or something, or how I was born, something to allude to her having a sex change. And so she's mentioned that they having clocked her. And so it's like, this is just weird because no one who goes out to eat is looking around to see what other people's reaction is, or are they looking at me? Are they hearing what I'm talking about? Why are you looking around? Why do you know that they clocked you or whatever? I feel like she secretly likes the attention. It's just weird for me that she would even notice that somebody was looking at her or notice that she, was trans or whatever. Who cares? You're the one who just told her not to care about what other people think, but you're the one who's looking around to see if people are clocking you. It makes no sense. So anyway, he gets up and give her a kiss, and I guess that's supposed to symbolize that he doesn't care about what other people think, but I just don't buy it. When he sits back down, he gives a toast to taking new steps in their life, and then Nikki says, and some of the new steps is having more sex. And I was like, my God, woman. I mean, it's almost sexual harassment at this point. And so she continues to talk about wanting more sex in the confessional, and then at the restaurant, when they're finishing up their wine, she says, yeah, let's finish up our wine because the kitty is hungry and needs to eat. And I was like, oh my God, lady. I just feel like she's gonna push him away for even further with being so pushy about sex. Like he's trying to wrap his mind around this, and I don't know why he needs to wrap his mind around it at this point. But this is where he's at with it, and she's being super, super pushy. And so I don't see how that really helps the situation. So we're back at Rob and Sophie's after the blow up the night before. Rob is making coffee and asks Sophie if she wants some, and she didn't respond. She had her head down on her phone. I don't know if she was deliberately ignoring him or what. Anyway, Rob says he didn't sleep well last night and that they need to talk about this whole baby thing. And so we see where they go outside with their coffee to talk. He says if she doesn't want children, then she needs to find someone who wants the same, which I agree. I mean, that's a huge thing in a relationship or a marriage. If one person wants children and one doesn't, that's going to cause problems. So he says being a parent is a huge deal and asked her if she would want to be a parent. Now she says that it's not because she doesn't want children. It's that she just got here and she doesn't want to have to take care of children until she gets settled, which is not really what she said last night, unless it was edited to sound that way. She said she didn't want children. But then she said it wasn't when she was talking to his sister, it wasn't because she didn't want children, it's because of the fact that she may not be able to. She's just not clear on what she really wants. What is the real problem here? So anyway, she's saying that she never said that she didn't want a family. And so he asked her what she's afraid of. So she mentions the fact that she had the surgery to remove the cyst from her ovaries. And so she says she's scared of thinking that, she couldn't carry children. So, she was thinking she couldn't carry children. And so if she couldn't carry children, then she couldn't be a mom. And she says that she doesn't want to get pregnant because of that and not because she doesn't want to be a mom. So I'm just wondering, after she had that surgery, did they ever have any kind of additional tests to see if that would, limit her ability to carry a child? Or is she just self-diagnosing? Because there's a whole lot of confusion here about not wanting a child, but not wanting to be pregnant, or maybe not being able to be pregnant. But no one knows if this is really a medical issue or not. So anyway, Sophie brings up, the possibility of, surrogacy or adoption. Rob said he would prefer surrogacy because he wants to have his own children. And so she says she does as well. He asked her to figure out what she really wants, regardless of what he wants. And she says she wants to be with him. So he thinks that they'll be okay as long as that's what she really wants. And I was like, I don't know. This is a whole 180. And I wonder if she really wants kids or if she's just saying that to please him. Anyway, later on in the episode, we see where Sophie calls her mom. And we see where her mom, in the conversation, apologizes for being too mean to Rob. And she mentions how he always looks at her crazy as if she's speaking another language, which kind of ticks her off. But since she's going to be marrying him and it seems like he loves her, then that's more important than, her squabbling with him. So the timing is pretty terrible with that, because then she goes on to tell her mom about the huge blow up that they had about, children. So her mom tells her that, does she really want to have kids? She have to be sure about what she wants. Does she wants to have kids, or is she trying to please Rob? She tells her mom that she's a people pleaser, but this is her life too, and she's not going to have children just to, resent them later. And her mom encourages her to have a deep conversation with Rob about how she really feels. And so in her confessional that, she says that she need to think about the surrogacy thing because she doesn't want to do it just because he wants her to. And so she's worried that if she doesn't have kids, that he's going to leave. So she's looking at all that she's going to have to give up if she doesn't agree with what Rob wants, which is kind of what I was thinking too. Is this legitly what you want, or are you trying to, stay in the country? If you're not sure, then take some time to think about it and decide before, jumping into that and getting married. So later on, we see where Sophie mentions going to the club. She says she usually goes out to the club a lot when she was back home, but Rob doesn't like to go out. He says that he'd rather stay home and hang with her. And, going to the club is pretty much for single people. So then we see in the confessional, he mentions like, well, if he goes out to the club and girls start hitting on him, he's going to get in trouble. And I was like, well, that's an interesting thing to say. Well, aren't you full of yourself? Why would girls be hitting on you? Why do you feel that girls will be hitting on you anyway? So I guess they're going with Tarai, and she's not really super thrilled because he was the one who brought it up to Rob that he found her on a dating app. She's saying that she was on the friend side. I don't know what's really true. So, she is going to bring her friend to meet up at the club as well, her friend Soraya. So Soraya is the friend that she supposedly met on the app, on the friend side of the app. So they finally make it to the club. We see Tarai waiting outside. And he's like, where have you been? Are you hiding from me? And so, you know, he tells her about her friend Soraya who will be coming and that she met on the app. And he was like, you mean the dating app? So he's giving her a bit of a hard time. And so since she was on the dating app meeting girls, he later asked her if she was into girls. I was like, oh my God, he is all up in their business and asking a lot of questions. I feel like if it were me in this situation, I really would not appreciate a friend coming and grilling me like this. Like, what is this to you? I feel like if he had concerns, then he really should bring them to Rob and let Rob ask the questions if he feels like he needed to. But why is he coming directly to her? They're not in a relationship. But I guess she's trying to appease him and smooth things out and gain the trust, I guess, of the friend. Anyway, Tarai says that he feels that maybe she's telling the truth after they met up with Soraya. And he says you never know with women. I was like, okay, it sounds like he has been hurt before. So Soraya says that she had known Sophie for about 2 years, and they always meet up whenever she's in town. They once again bring up meeting on the app again. Tarai asks Soraya if she's into girls, and she says no. But there was a little hesitation before she said no. So I'm like, what is going on here? So considering that Sophie is bi, this is a little fishy. But anyway, Tarai apologizes and says, yeah, maybe I was wrong then, And she still hasn't told Rob, though, that she is bisexual. But she says that she will tell him soon. So this is just a hot mess. Like, why wouldn't this be something that they would have talked about sooner? Because maybe he doesn't want to be with somebody who's bisexual. Why are we even engaged at this point? There's so much that they haven't talked about. It's unreal. Anyway, later on in the episode, we see where Sophie has moved out of Rob's place, and she has rented a place by herself. So the producers had asked her, like, what's going on? Why would you leave? What's the circumstances? So she goes into this story. She says that she had a dream that Rob had cheated on her online again. So the next day she went to check his phone. So in his phone, she has found that he has been getting sexual videos, and he has been asking for sexual content from various women. And so, yeah, he's cheated on her again. So we see where he's in the car, and it looks like he's pretty much acting, rubbing his eyes and saying that he's not, he's trying to be perfect, but he's not, he's not trying to be involved with anyone else. He only wants her. And I was like, why are we talking about perfection here? Why do you have to be perfect to be faithful to your partner? And so, he's like, you can hear her in the background saying, you hurt me again, Rob. And so he's trying to bring tears, for her to get sympathy from her, but she's not hearing it. And so, this is the second time that he has done this, because mind you, he had done this before and she had forgiven him. Basically, from what she's explaining, is pretty much the same thing, and he's doing it again. So now she says she doesn't know what to do now because she doesn't have any family here. She doesn't have any friends. She doesn't have a car. And if she doesn't marry him, then she has to go back home. But I'm like, okay, so what? You have to go back home. What's so bad about that? And then she says that, she has given up everything for nothing. And I don't know what she's referring to. What's everything that she's given up? Yes, I understand it's a big move from, one continent to the next. And maybe she had to give up her apartment. But you can still always rent one. So what else is she giving up? From what I initially heard, that she was like an influencer as well. So if that's the case, then she can still earn her income wherever she's living. So I don't know, what she's referring to, but she didn't really expound on what all she has given up. But she's obviously upset and hurt in this moment because she's just found out that Rob is cheating on her again. But I certainly hope that she will put her foot down and not accept this anymore. So there's a lot of drama in this episode, and Nick and Devin are a little bit boring, some might say, but I like them. I feel like they're more stable, or the most stable couple, and they're more reflective of a normal relationship. The other couples have a lot of drama, which is good for entertainment, but doesn't really bode well for a relationship. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on the episode. Like, comment, and subscribe.